Yo, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Shade and Shit Talking. I'm your host, TK, and as always, thank you for tuning in. So, last week, many of you noticed, I hope you noticed, that I, didn't drop an episode. I was back home in Mississippi for a family reunion. And while I was there, I was thinking about, man, what can I talk about, next week? What would be my main focus, my main topic of discussion? And, while sitting there, I was sitting outside, my wife, kids, and family, whatever, and just looking around, and I was just noticing all of these beautiful, strong, intelligent, hardworking black women around me. And that's when it hit me. And I said to myself, I know now, what to talk about. And that is beautiful black women and how they impact not only my life, but the lives around me and, just life period. They are the backbone of society. They are the first ones to the fight, the last ones to leave the fight. They're the ones that hold up not only black men, but other black women, women of other nationalities. They back, everybody. They have just this loving nature, this unending, undying need to care and nurture other people. And for doing all that, they receive the short end of the fucking stick. And that is something that we, not only as black men, but we as a whole, we got to address that. We got to stop that. We got to change that. Now, while I was, sitting there and, I started reading different little things, and I came across a write-up called An Ode to the Black Woman. And it was written by a guy named Brandon Sams back in 2016. So reading this, I thought this would be actually something good to share with you guys. So I'll read a few passages. I'm not gonna read the whole thing. It's pretty long, but it starts off: black women are the rock of the Afro-American community. With their grace, poise, bravery, and strength, we have been able to traverse all obstacles, knowing, in the immortal words of Sophia Horton, that we shall overcome. While black women have too often been told they are not good enough to inherit anything other than the lowly rungs of society, they stand strong. When the intersectional axis of oppressions, woman status, and black genealogy transect, the result is one of unprecedented hardship. Yet, through that hardship, black women have continued to prevail out on top. In a truly feminist and womanist tradition, they have become powerhouses of every area of society in spite of the forces working against them. Now that last little paragraph, it rings very true. And one of the first, females, black women that came to mind after reading that was Representative Maxine Waters, or as many of us call her now, Auntie Maxine. This lady is a firecracker. God, she is a powerhouse that has stood up against this current bullshit administration and the shit that they're doing. She has been relentless. We all remember her from Reclaiming My Time, and basically standing her ground on the floor. She ain't letting these motherfuckers push her over at all. Well, she had a little bit of controversy last week or a week before, whatever, when she told people, hey, when you see this administration out and about, push back. Let them know we as an American people are not taking this bullshit. She didn't condone violence. She didn't say, hey, put your hands on these people. Hey, spit on them and throw shit at them. She did none of that. It was all based in a peaceful protest manner. And as usual, the Republicans, couldn't stand it. Now, but their orange leader in chief can say and do whatever the fuck he wants, and nobody bats an eye. By the way, fuck him. With that being said, you would think that her party, would stand behind her, but House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, they failed to really protect Auntie Maxine from unwarranted attacks from the Trump administration and others in the GOP, and that's true. I've never really trusted any of them anyway, but you would think that they would, show a sign of solidarity and, protect their own, especially one who's been right there for the whole fight, guns blazing. So, speaking of guns, after she said what she said, she was receiving threats and all of that, and she basically told them, hey, if you gonna shoot, motherfucker, you better shoot straight and not miss. And that's why I respect this lady. She said what she said, she meant what she said, and goddamn it, she ain't walk away from it. But I tell you what, they better not shoot. There's gonna be some goddamn smoke in the city. I can guarantee you that. So, after reading about her, I started looking at other stories, and I came across a story on CNN, I believe, and I also saw the story on Black with No Chaser, which you should follow, like, and share. Black with No Chaser. Find us on Facebook. You can also follow us on Instagram at Black with No Chaser, as well as on Twitter, Black with No Chaser. I'm sorry, Black No Chaser. But anyways, so this story comes from South Fulton, Georgia. The entire justice system there is run by black women. Yes, the entire justice system in South Fulton, Georgia is run completely by black women. In South Fulton, which is an Atlanta suburb of about 95,000 people, it's one of Georgia's newest cities, and it has the distinction of being perhaps the first city in the nation to have its entire criminal justice system led entirely by black women. Huge. Or as Toupee Fiasco says, huge. Chief Judge is Tiffany Carter Sellers. The interim police chief is Sheila Rogers. Solicitor is LaDawn LBJ Jones. Public defender Vivica Fambra Powell. And public defender, that right there is huge, because any of you who's ever been in trouble with the law and needing an attorney, couldn't afford one, firsthand the type of bullshit public defenders that we as black people get. Somebody who's underpaid, overworked, and who really couldn't care less about your black ass and whether you free or go to jail. So this is huge. You also got the court administrator Lakeisha Cofield, chief court clerk Ramona Howard, court clerk Tiffany Kinslow, and court clerk Carrie Stevens. Now, many people will hail this group as a definitive sign of progress in the, for lack of a better word, tortured relationship between the justice system and black America. And it is a tortured relationship. I mean, we aren't a part of the justice system as far as the thoughts and considerations when it comes to fairness. Now, we got some bullshit laws created for the sole purpose of punishing and disenfranchising black people. So hopefully this will spur a movement, not only in the South, but all across the nation, to where we can have a fair shake when it comes to laws and sentencing and things like that. Having a black chief judge is huge. Having, like I said, Black women are very nurturing, very caring. So I see everybody, not just black people, who come before these people in court getting a fairer shot than they would anywhere else, you know. And that's the truth. That's what I feel is the truth anyways. So shout out to South Fulton, Georgia. Also in Georgia, we have even more history making black woman news. Many of you probably read also on Black with No Chaser, probably saw it on the news, probably saw it online. But back in May, Stacey Abrams was elected. Well, she won the Georgia Democratic primary for governor, which made history. Georgia Democrats elected the first black woman to be a major party nominee for the governor of the United States on Tuesday. By handily defeating her opponent, Miss Abrams also became Georgia's first black nominee for governor, which was a prize that has eluded earlier in many generations of African American candidates in the state. And she made big waves. You know, she drew a lot of attention. She had some big names that went down to campaign for Cory Booker from New Jersey, old Slick Hillary, you know, Bernie Sanders, so on and so forth. And so basically, we have the opportunity to have this black woman be front and center on the national stage as the governor of Georgia. So come November, everybody in Georgia, if you're listening, please get out and rock the vote. Please get out and support this lady. Please, please, please. This makes a huge difference. This is a huge step towards gaining traction, you know, in the wide disparity of justice that we don't get, that we so richly deserve, but we don't get. You know, fuck the presidential elections. That means nothing. And by the way, fuck 45 too. Your local and state elections really matters. These are the people that really and truly impact our lives on a day-to-day basis. From your governors to your mayors to your judges to your public defenders to your district attorneys to your police chiefs. You know, you have the right people who have the right things in their heart and in their mind. That influences the hires that they make, you know, that patrol your neighborhoods, that make your local laws, that, you know, that influence your day-to-day lives, like your city council, all of that. Speaking of city council, when I talked about South Fulton, Georgia earlier, not only is the entire justice system run by black women, but five of their seven city council seats are black women. Huge. And I bet that whole area take off. You watch and see. But like I said, get out, rock that vote on your local elections, especially for intelligent, strong-willed, thoughtful black people. Like Miss Abrams, you know, she's a Yale graduate. She's smart. She's articulate. She's ready to fight. She's down for the cause. She's about right. So please, Georgia, get out there and vote. Speaking of voting, my next story takes me to San Francisco, where they just sworn in their first black female mayor. Huge. San Francisco just sworn in on Wednesday their first black female mayor. San Francisco's newest mayor, Mrs. London N. Breed, was sworn in on Wednesday in a ceremony rooted in the historic nature of her election win. And she stood there at the podium and her blackness was on full display. She quoted Maya Angelou. She quoted the Negro national anthem, "Lift every voice and sing." Huge. So, the tide is turning, and I honestly believe that the improvement of our communities as black people, the charge is being led or will be led by all of these black women. And there's absolutely, positively nothing wrong with that. We as men, real men, not these fuckboys, not these, ignorant ass niggas who don't care. We as men, we need to support these women, protect these women, nurture these women. Be that rock, be that shield, be that listening ear, be whatever they need in this life to help all of us grow and get better. And that's some real shit. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, gather around for this week's episode of Colonizer Nonsense. So, our first story of Colonizer Nonsense takes us to none other than Papa John's. Now, he got in trouble for using the N-word, saying nigger, on a conference call.
You what?
Now, he said, and I quote, that he feels sick about the incident. Explaining how he came to use the slur, he said he was just talking the way that Colonel Sanders talked.
You what?
Fucking moron. Well, anyway, the fallout from all this has continued for Papa John's. Business partners and even universities that, once accepted large sums of money from this dumbass have started distancing themselves, after he admitted to using this racial slur during the business call. The University of Louisville, they had their football stadium named after Papa John's. So effective immediately, it's now just called Cardinal Stadium. He also had a institute, the John Shatner Institute at University of Kentucky. Well, they changed their name as well. Now, they weren't, the only people to separate themselves from this moron. He had a deal with the Miami Marlins baseball team as well as the New York Yankees. They both severed their relationships with him, as well as the Tampa Bay Rays and the Atlanta Falcons as well, and the Atlanta United team of the Major League Soccer said that they severed their partnership with Papa John's as well. So, you just can't run around using nigger, especially after you've already got in some hot water for saying some other bigoted bullshit before, which happened last football season. So, fuck Papa John's. Their new slogan should be shitty ingredients, shitty owner, shitty pizza, Papa John's. Our second ignorant colonizer nonsense entrant takes us to California. God damn, man. California just ain't shit lately. Well, anyway, a California prosecutor will be placed on administrative leave as his office investigates offensive comments made on his social media accounts. That was announced by the district attorney on Monday. Well, the guy's name is Michael Salayem, who heads the hardcore gang unit at the San Bernardino County District Attorney's Office. Well, he found himself in some hot water after saying that basically he said that Auntie Maxine was a loudmouth. He said in the ghetto, you would think somebody would have shot her by now.
You what?
And he also, said some pretty fucked up shit about everybody's the best first lady of them all, Michelle Obama. On his page, he had a fake picture of Michelle Obama holding a sign that said "Trump grabbed my penis." So I hope that he gets fired. I hope that he gets disbarred. Right now, there's actually a petition out with 10,000 or so signatures that I last checked, calling for his ouster. So I'm hoping that it happens. I'm hoping that he gets disbarred because, come on now, motherfucker just started with the racist bullshit at all. He ain't just started his dislike of black people at all. So fuck him, and I hope he gets fired. My final entry of colonizer nonsense this week takes us to Chicago, Illinois, and a local idiot named Timothy Tribus. Now, the name may not be familiar, but I'm pretty sure if you've been on Black with No Chaser, or Yahoo or CNN or pretty much anywhere, you have seen this racist fucktard. So this guy on June 14th in Chicago was harassing this lady who had on a Puerto Rico t-shirt. The lady's name was Mia Irizarry, and she posted this video on Facebook, and it shows this dumbass approaching her and criticizing her t-shirt, which, like I said, was a Puerto Rican flag. Well, this idiot said, and I quote, "You should not be wearing that in the United States of America." And he asked the lady repeatedly, "Are you a citizen?"
You what?
Now the crazy part about it is this guy is mad about this Puerto Rican shirt when Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory. It is American. This fucking Trump tard. And I've seen a bunch of them who really didn't know this, especially, when the hurricane hit. These idiots were just dogging Puerto Rico like they weren't citizens, like, don't know any better. Just fucking ignorant. Not ignorant, but these motherfuckers are ignorant. Well, it gets worse. So in the video, this lady was asking a policeman who was there, a Cook County Forest Preserve District police officer, later identified as, well, his last name is Connor. I don't know his first name. No, I'm sorry, Patrick Connor, who actually quit the police department. Well, she's asking him for help, and he absolutely did fucking nothing. Nothing at all. So he was just as guilty as this other racist piece of shit, and they allowed him to quit instead of firing him, which would allow him to go get another job at another department. Y'all see how that shit is working. That's what they do. Well, anyway, Mr. Tribus, the ignorant piece of shit racist, he was charged with simple assault earlier in the week. Well, they came back and they doubled back and hit his ass with hate crimes. Yes. So I am happy. I hope he goes to jail. I hope he gets encountered by the most angry Puerto Rican prisoner there, who beats the shit out of him and chokes him with his own fucking shoestrings. Fuck him. I can't wait till they all just die out. I'm sick of these racist people. This week in hip hop history, we kicking it off with the debut album of Eric B. and Rakim, with the album entitled "Paid in Full," which a lot of us know about, which was also the name of one of the classic hip hop movies. Well, anyway, this album was released July the 7th, 1987. This album peaked at number 58 on the Billboard 200 charts and produced 5 singles. Eric B. is President, I Ain't No Joke, I Know You Got Soul, Move the Crowd, and of course Paid in Full. Now, Paid in Full is credited as the benchmark album of the golden age of hip hop. Rakim's rapping, which pioneered the use of internal rhymes in the hip hop genre, it set a higher standard for lyricism, and it served as the template for up and coming rappers, future rappers, etc. Now, this album also used heavy sampling by Eric B, and that too became very influential in hip hop production. Now, this particular album sold over 1 million copies, and it was certified platinum in 1995. Damn, that was a long time ago. In 2003, the album was ranked 228th on the Rolling Stone magazine's list of the 500 greatest albums of all time. So, shout out to Eric B and Rakim. Paid in Full, classic album. Now, also this week, we are celebrating the birth of none other than the Queen Bee herself, Lil' Kim. She was born July 11, 1975, so she like 42 now. Of course, everybody know who Lil' Kim was. She was with Biggie, Puffy. She was a female leader, Junior Mafia. She also had a big hit with, well, it was their song, but she had a big hit, Quiet Storm, with Mobb Deep. Actually, one of my favorite songs, actually. So shout out to Lil' Kim. She also she had her biggest album was Hardcore, that she dropped, I think maybe 95, somewhere up in there. But, anyway, yeah, it was 95. And with this album, she solidified herself as one of the top female rappers in hip hop. She was a trendsetter, and everybody remember that goddamn album cover with her bending down with her legs wide open. Shout out to Lil' Kim. Speaking of shout outs, this week we want to shout out the Seven God himself, Drake, who dropped his huge album, Scorpion. Now, this album is actually history making. Is actually record breaking. Drake's Scorpion album is just the fourth album with a record 7 Hot 100 top 10 singles, and is actually the first to do it this century. Let's see, you had it launched at number 1 on the Billboard 200, and it was the biggest week of consumption for an album in 2018, and I think he did the same thing in 2017. But I'm gonna give you a quick rundown of the numerous achievements of his album this week. Like I said, it became only the fourth album to generate 7 top 10 Hot 100 hits. It was the first to do it since Janet Jackson did it with Rhythm Nation back in 1989. Between 89 and 91, he also joined Michael Jackson with Thriller from 82 to 84, and Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA in 1984 as well. And coincidentally, Michael Jackson is credited on 2 of the songs, I believe, on his album. But the 7 singles that are and they're all in the top 10. You have God's Plan, Nice for What, Nonstop, I'm Upset, Emotionless, Don't Matter to Me featuring Michael Jackson, and of course, In My Feelings, that's got everybody, doing this shit, getting kiki, getting everybody fucked up around here. They dancing in the street, getting hit by cars, and cars hopping out of cars, and they shit running all off the road. So Kiki gonna fuck around and get y'all killed, so you need to chill out. But anyways, if you hadn't heard it, go check it out. I personally hadn't purchased the album, but hell, you can hear damn near the whole thing on Sirius Radio, Tidal, I believe. Hell, it's everywhere. Also, in entertainment news, you have Ant-Man and the Wasp that came out for all you Marvel heads, you comic book readers, fans of the genre like myself. I'm shouting it out. Go see it. Reason why is, for one, it's a Marvel movie and it's part of the MCU, but also it features everybody's favorite hood philosopher, T.I. So make sure you go and check that out. And keeping with in line with the theme of this week's episode, what better way to start off sports than with none other than the queen herself, Miss Serena Williams. Now, as of this recording, Serena Williams will be going into the final of Wimbledon. Now, for those of you who don't keep up with tennis or, kind of keep up with tennis, the fact that she's made it this far is actually very huge. And the reason why I say that is because just 10 months ago, Serena suffered life-threatening pulmonary embolisms after delivering her daughter. She had multiple surgeries. She was bedridden for weeks. She couldn't train. And, just going through all that from just 10 months ago to now is very extraordinary. Huge. Not only that, they stripped her of her rankings when she went out. So she entered the tournament as a 25th seed, and she had a harder road than what she would have had if she was in her rightful spot of number one, So top seed after top seed, she knocked their asses off left and right and kept going. So big shout out to Serena for that. Like I said, that shit is huge. And just thinking about it, it made me think about her standing, her stature in professional sports of all time. Now, as far as tennis goes, she is the greatest tennis player of all time, male or female, no question. I don't give a fuck who you throw, what name you throw in front of her, male or female, she's the greatest. But when you look at all of professional sports, and the GOATs of those sports, you got football, Jerry Rice, not Tom Brady, fuck Tom Brady. Basketball, that can be argued left and right all day. Baseball, Barry Bonds for me, that can be argued as well. Golf, Tiger Woods. Hockey, Wayne Gretzky. And it could be somebody different. That's the only name I know from hockey, so it is what it is. But my point is, you line every last one of these greats up, and Serena is still head and shoulders above them all. She is a GOAT athlete, period. Don't at me. These are facts. Now, also, going back to Wimbledon, just looking at her whole situation and thinking about how tennis is an elitist sport. It has traditionally been a white sport here in America, and she has faced hurdle after hurdle, from the time that her and her sister Venus, who's also a great in the sport, they had to overcome obstacles and roadblocks. And even to this day, like right now, did you know that Serena is tested for drugs 5 times as much as the nearest person? 5 times. And it begs the question why. Well, not from us. We already know why. But even with all those tests, she has come back clean every single time and still kicking their ass. So big shout out to Serena. Good luck in the finals. Win or lose, you still the GOAT. You still the queen. So keep it moving. In other sports news, LeBron James went to LA. I said that weeks ago, so no surprise there. And speaking of that, Magic Johnson came out and said that they lean on LeBron as far as building the roster around him, as far as picking up Rajon Rondo, as far as picking up JaVale McGee and Lance Stevenson. You know, he called Lance Stevenson, and Stevenson said it was an honor to come play for him. You know, once again, this just proves the reach and the power and sway that LeBron has. And, you know, they're about to make some noise in LA. Not a lot, because, you know, they were celebrating when LeBron signed to LA, and the next day, Golden State won up their ass and signed Boogie Cousins. So, Warriors in 4. I don't give a damn who they play. Don't even matter. In football news, and it's disturbing football news. So last episode I talked about Jameis Winston and his inabilities to stay out of trouble, his inability to control himself when it comes to situations with women. Well, since that recording, we've had 2 major incidents happen. No, I take that back. 4, actually, with various football players. With the biggest one, the biggest name being LeSean McCoy of Buffalo. He has been accused by his ex-girlfriend, ex-baby mama, whoever it is, of having her set up and beat by a quote-unquote assailant. Have you seen the pictures? She got beat pretty badly. You know, her face is bruised and battered, and it's not really good to look at. Well, you know, he has an uphill battle. He came out and said that it's all lies. I don't know, but the NFL will find out. They will investigate. The police will investigate. And if he did this, that nigga deserves to go to jail for 10, 15, however many years it is, because, you know, that's some fucked up shit. I guess these niggas ain't learned from Ray Caruth. Also, you have Marcel Darius. He has been accused by a lady of sexual misconduct. Now this is a little spotty to me, because she said that, you know, he forced her into sex, but then she also said that after that they had consensual sex. So that's crazy. I just don't understand, you know, somebody being forced and then going back later for consensual. It is what it is. I just don't understand it. So I'm not gonna cast any aspersions on them. Just letting it play out. Also in the news, you had and these are kind of disturbing. Kellen Winslow Jr. has been charged with sexual assaulting I think a 74-year-old woman, a 58-year-old woman, you know, breaking into their trailer. The oddest part about that is, in court, the accuser couldn't identify him. She identified his lawyer. She pointed to his lawyer at the defense table and said that he was the guy who did it. So, I don't know. That shit's kind of odd. And finally, you had Brandon Browner of the Legion of Boom fame in Seattle, and also from New Orleans Saints. He has been charged with kidnapping, assault, attempted murder, like all of this, and it has to do with an ex as well. So all of these niggas is just they have problems. I don't know if it's entitlement. I don't know if, you know, what it is, but it just seems that a lot of these guys have the world, you know, in their hands and can't handle it. You know, all the money and the fame means nothing if you don't have the mental capacity to be able to handle all that shit. And a lot of them are showing that. And, you know, I got a partner who as soon as something happened, the first thing he yell out is CTE. And that could be a contributing factor, but shit, at some point, you got to be man enough to look at a situation and just say no. Like, man, I can't do this shit. So, you know, I'm gonna keep an eye on it, see how this shit play out. And as always, I'll let you guys know what I find.
song right here is dedicated to the black woman.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Shade and Shit Talking. And as always, I thank you for the love, the support. Please continue to like, follow, and share, and look for me on the various podcasting platforms. Also, remember to like, follow, and share the page Black With No Chaser on Facebook, as well as looking for us on Instagram at Black With No Chaser and Twitter, Black No Chaser. Now, before I get out of here, I just want to leave you guys with a small passage from the write-up that I mentioned earlier. And it goes like this. The black woman is the epitome of strength, resilience, and humility. For all the woes and daggers thrown her way, she rises and stands unscathed, indomitable in her spirit and unwavering in her eyes. The world exists between her thighs, for she is the mitochondrial Eve and mother of humanity. Yet we scold her like a leper, repudiated and rejected, but still she rises. As an activist and novelist Cola Booth simply put it, the black woman is the most unprotected, unloved woman on earth. She is the only flower on earth that grows unwatered. But I'm telling you, I'm here to water that flower and ensure its continued growth. I'll see y'all next week.
The podcast you just heard was published with Anchor. Got something you want to say to the creator of this show? Send them a voice message using the Anchor app, free for iOS and Android.